What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters. Welcome to No Life Till Metal. And this episode is going to be, it's going to be thrash metal. I've had several people requested me to start showing some more obscure underground thrash metal stuff, and I know that on Heavy Metal Corner's channel, he was doing this kind of I Spy with my little I, A thrash metal. So he threw all these bands with A, and then he shows thrash metal bands with B. And then as well, Holspa Metal, or Renee from Spain, has been doing an A through Z kind of thing with black metal. So I kind of thought I would take up and do the same sort of thing, and show you guys a bunch of thrash bands, starting with the letter A. And I'm probably going to break this one up into two parts, at least two parts. Reason being is when I started looking into what thrash bands I had starting with letter A, I think I found 32 bands. So I'm not going to show 32 bands in one video, because even if I spent a minute a piece on them, which is impossible, it ended up being a 35-minute video. So we're going to break this one up into a few, and I'm going to start right away. I'm going to leave out some of the bigger names. All right, everybody knows who Annihilator is, and Anthrax, and bands that started the whole thrash metal movement, guys like Animal. People know those. I don't have to show those. And I've already done a discography on Anvil and showed them what I own by them, so you guys can check that out. I'll put a link up above so you can click on that if you want to see it. But we're just going to start right away with some more obscure stuff. So first off, we're going to start off with this is Alterist from Blackest Darkness on Cranial Captivity Records. Yeah, Cranial Captivity Records. Gosh, I cannot remember what year this came out. It was the early 90s, mid 90s. This band kind of has that crossover sound, kind of the hardcore style shouted vocals. Not hardcore by any means, but that kind of crossover vibe, kind of reminds me a little bit of Betrayal, or Martyr, or even like the Crucified a little bit, somewhere in that range. And this is a Christian band, a Christian thrash metal band, though the label they're on is not a Christian label. So Alterist from Blackest Darkness. I know this one's pretty hard to find. For some of these I'm going to throw in some clips too. I'm not going to throw it in for everyone, otherwise this would really be a massive task. I'm just going to throw in some here and there, so when I feel it's necessary or I can get away with it without getting a copyright strike. Number two, this is Agony. This is a Swedish band. Swedish? Yeah, from Sweden. This release was from 1988, and what I liked about these guys is they weren't just speed for speed's sake. There's a lot of thrash metal bands out there that are doing nothing but, it's just all about how fast can you play. And just more to it than the whole thrash metal polka thing. These guys had some technicality, they had good songwriting, memorable, and I really like the gravelly style vocals. I kind of put these guys in a similar category to like Korn or Creator, or even like early Sepultura. But anyhow, oops, almost dropped it. That's anyhow. So this is Agony. I think I actually have this one on vinyl too. Yeah, I do. I didn't pull out the vinyl for all these. I pulled out a few of them while I was thinking of it. But first, Defiance, first album from Sweden's Agony. And yeah, I think I'll just throw a little clip of Agony in right now. So here you go, a little clip of Swedish band Agony. Next up, we're going to show a band that's actually been playing in the background since I started this video. This is a band from Arizona, and this is Aftermath. And this is another 1988 release, and this is on Mushroom Records, not Mushroom, Mushroom Records, and which is a Dutch label. And these guys are more, rather than saying thrash metal, there's really no punk edge to this. This is more speed metal, kind of along the lines of like Toxic or Realm, or even like Agent Steel, or perhaps like early Anthrax, with the clean melodic vocals. So yeah, this is I believe this is their first release. Don't Cheer Me Up. So that's playing in the background. And then they actually had release that was just from a couple years ago, actually. But this is their 1990 and 1991 demos put together, and this is on Retroactive Records. This is called Retro Thrash Records, but regardless. And this puts together all their old demos, and really, just a really great band. Really enjoy the that whole speed metal sound. So so this one's probably still pretty much available, whereas the first one I showed probably a little harder to find. So there you go, Arizona's Aftermath. And next up is another band called Aftermath. Very different from the first one I showed. This band is from Chicago, Illinois. This album here, which is called Eyes of Tomorrow, is a little more technical, a little more raw, a little more thrash, riff-driven, even some jazz influences in it. Not that it's jazz by any stretch, but kind of the jazz timing influences, you know. I'd compare these guys to, I don't know, like Mekong Delta or, I don't know, maybe Believer or Anacrusis, kind of in that, you know, very technical, even a little bit of like a early death sound. Not that it's death metal by any means, maybe an early purveyor death metal, like early Sepultura. You know what, why don't I just throw a clip in and check it out. So there you go, that's Chicago, Illinois, Aftermath, 1994 release, I believe. Next up, this is the Teutonic thrash metal band Assassin. One of the lesser known, bands. You got, your Creators and your Destruction and Sodom, and those bands are, relatively well known. But a band like Assassin are much less known. What you got here is kind of noisy, chaotic, bordering on post-death metal, like maybe early Possessed, not that they sound like a clone of that band, but just kind of that where it starts to get that almost becoming death metal sound. Again, even early Sepultura would be a good example. Just pure speed, aggressive, heavy, but not lacking in melody. There's still, melody. It's not about like black metal where it's all atmosphere. It has tons of melody and memorable hooks as well. Again, very riff-driven, but then again, most thrash metal is very riff-driven, so it's about the riffs. So, Germany's Assassin. Next up is a new wave of heavy thrash metal band. This band coming out of, I think they're pretty much based out of Las Vegas, Nevada. But this is Avenger of Blood. And these guys have been around for quite a while, actually. I'm not going to show all their releases. This here is their Death Brigade album, which is my favorite by them. And I do have this one on vinyl, too, I believe. Going over, yep. So here's the Death Brigade album. These guys kind of have a huge influence from bands like Slayer, and then the German bands like Creator and Sodom. I hear a lot of that in this stuff. These guys are basically led by their drummer, whose name is slipping my mind, which is really bad because he's a friend of mine. Excuse me, I'm also having a problem breathing right now. Excuse me, Shannon Fry. Sorry about that, Shannon. Here's a picture of Shannon right here. He's the only guy without long locks going on there. And these guys are still together. They kind of broke up for a little while following this release, but they're back together. I know they've recorded some demo material, a little more raw, a little even heavier than this. But this album's great. Just some great hooks. I think the title track on here, great song. If it would have been released in 1988, 1987, it probably would have been really well known. As it stands, still. I've heard people tell me these guys, they're not doing anything new. They're not trying to do anything new. They're trying to play thrash metal, and they do a great job of it. And I also thought I'd show the very first demo, and this is actually the only thing that Shannon did not play on. This is actually a one-man demo by Matthew Black, who is no longer with the band. But this is the demo that the band started with back in 2001. So yes, Avenger of Blood, Celestial War, the very first demo. So there you go, Avenger of Blood. Keeping up the pace as quickly as I can. This is another German band, I believe. This is Angel Dust. And this is on Scratch Records from 1986. Now, Angel Dust are more well known as a power metal band, and they actually released a second album here, which is called To Dust You Will Decay. This first album that they released kind of has a Slayer-esque sound, you know. The band's name is named after a Venom song, so you kind of get the vibe that they're kind of going for. And yeah, so that's kind of where they went with that one. But by the second album, they pretty much had almost a new lineup. They only had 2 original guys left in the band. And this was their 1988 release. And by this time they released this one, it's still thrash metal, but it had a bit of a more power metal vibe. And when I say power metal, I'm talking like, you know, 80s American style power metal, you know, like Metal Church or Vicious Rumors or that kind of style, you know, not your galloping, keyboard-driven Dungeons and Dragons Europe power metal. And then after this release, the band broke up, and not until a decade later did they reform, and they was a completely different style band, completely, totally power metal, melodic power metal, and I actually like their power metal stuff even better than this thrash metal stuff, but this stuff is good as well. And both these releases are fairly hard to find. Original CD copies or vinyl copies sell for quite a bit of money. And I believe both of my releases are original pressings, original CD pressings. So yeah, Angel Dust, German thrash metal. Let me see if I can get away throwing a little clip in right here of Angel Dust. So there you go, little Angel Dust, German Teutonic thrash metal. This one, which has a cracked case, which I need to replace, is Brazilian band Arnion. Pretty sure I'm saying that correctly. This is a retroactive release from 2000 something or other, 2012, 9, somewhere around there. I can't actually see it. That's too small. 2009, 10, somewhere in that area, on Retroactive Records. And actually, I think this album might have come out as an independent release first before being released on American label Retroactive. And this band is very, very heavy. Has some more modern influences. It's not the pure thrash you think of when you think of like 80s thrash. Like you know, it's not your Exodus, Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth style thrash, and it's definitely not the German style either. Definitely has some influences from, you know, their homeland band Sepultura, but a little more modern. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a little clip in of Arnion so you can check those guys out. So there you go. Like I said, a little more modern sounding, but still very much thrash metal. I think they have an EP out that came up for this one. I'm not sure that these guys are still together or not. This album you can still find pretty easily on you know, Amazon or eBay or those kind of places. So Arnion, continuing the letter A and thrash metal. This is Acrophet. And most of these bands I'm only going to show like 1 or 2 albums, but even if they have more. Acrophet only had 2, so I'm just going to show them both. This is their 1988 release on Road Racer Records. So, you know, this is a 1990 album on Road Racer Records. So, you know, you put 2 and 2 together. This was actually a blind buy for me many, many years ago. I saw the name. I saw that it was 1988. I saw that it was Road Runner Race Records. I took a guess. It's probably going to be decent thrash metal, and I was right. These guys are from Wisconsin, USA, and they are definitely all about speed, especially on this first album. It's just speed, speed, speed. But riff-driven, great guitar solos, and the songs aren't devoid of melody. Good stuff. I really enjoy Acrophet. If I didn't, I wouldn't have showed them. Like I said, I did leave quite a few bands out of this list of A's that I'm showing. So there you go, a little Acrophet. Next up, this band's got many releases out. They've been around for years. They still have, in more recent years, they put stuff out. This is the second full-length album from Agent Steel. So we got California speed metal, featuring John Cirrus on vocals. I think that's how you say his last name, and Juan Garcia on guitar. Agent Steel, melodic speed metal, I'd call this, more than thrash metal. John Cirrus has some high-pitched vocals, I don't want to say like Jeff Tate, but clean like Jeff Tate. Soaring, not what you usually think about when you think of thrash metal, but that's why I think it's more speed metal. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably can't get away with putting a clip of Agent Steel in here without getting caught, but we'll give it a try. Here's a little bit of Agent Steel. So there you go, Agent Steel from their second full-length album, Unstoppable Force. Like I said, these guys are still around. I think they're still around, but they have put a few albums out in the 2000s up till now. I have reviews of all their albums on No Light to Metal, so go to nolightometal.com and check it out if you're interested in hearing more about them. All right, next up, this is this is not a German band. This is a Danish band. Yeah, these guys are Danish from Denmark. What is it with Americans? I don't know. I cannot ever think. I think Danish. It doesn't connect with Denmark for me for some reason. But anyhow, this is Artillery. This is their 1985 release. Heavy Slayer influenced thrash metal. These guys existed for a few years before this, and I know had a kind of a big following through tape trading. Something that you don't hear about much anymore. But back in the 80s, we used to get magazines, and there was like these pen pal sections, and I had many of them. And you'd trade tapes from different countries and different states in the United States, and you'd learn about all these bands through that. And you'd send these, you just copy and copy and copy, and you'd have like 5th and 6th generation copies of some of these bands, and they'd sound terrible, but you got an idea what they sounded like. And we became fans of a lot of them. And I know Artillery had a huge following back then, just from that, before this album even came out. And these guys have several more albums out, and I'm pretty sure they're still together as well. They've been putting out albums in recent years, so they did break up for a while. But yeah, like I said, still around. Artillery, great thrash metal. Probably one of the more well-known bands that I'm showing here. So I'm not going to put a clip in. If you really want to hear some Artillery, do a search on YouTube. You'll find them fairly quickly. Next one, I did a full artist showcase on. I showed their entire catalog, everything I owned by them. So I'll put a link above for these guys, but I couldn't leave them out of this list because they're one of my favorite bands, one of my favorite thrash metal bands out of the United States. This is At War. And this is this CD pressing, numbered CD pressing of Retaliatory Strike, which has a different cover than the vinyl reissue, which I probably should have grabbed, but I didn't. Let's see if it's handy. I'll grab it right now. Yeah, it's right here. So there's the vinyl release of Retaliatory Strike. This one happens to be autographed. And then here's the limited edition CD pressing, original CD pressing on New Renaissance Records. Fan photo, little bio. Raw, biting, Motorhead meets Slayer is how I describe At War. They had that early Slayer riffing, but with like this raw Motorhead bite to it. I don't know, the grinding bass guitar. I don't even know how to describe it, but you get that gnarly bass guitar sound you get from the Rickenbacker bass. That's kind of what you get with At War. This is their first album. Here's their second album, Order to Kill. But like I said, if you want to see my whole collection on them, check out the link, and you can see my full discography on them. But I'm going to throw a quick clip of them in here so you can check out some At War. So there you go. Thrash metal from At War. Metal. Alright, we're going to keep it up here. I don't want this video to be too lengthy. This next band, I decided to show more than just one album because I really enjoy this band. They are sophisticated, full of these sophisticated technical harmonies and melodies and very progressive songwriting. They don't sound like anybody else that I can think of. I put them in a category with like Voivod or maybe Corner. Just having that unique sound that nobody else really has, but still being very much thrash metal. But this is Anacrusis, and this is Suffering Hour from 1988. This is the Metal Blade release for Anacrusis Reason, and I'm fairly sure all these are original pressings. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is 88, 9, or 90. Then we've got Screams and Whispers. And I think the band's made some of this stuff available for free download off of their website. I know they have promised new material. I don't have any of that yet. But then they have their fourth album, which I think is one of their best. Very melodic, yet still very aggressive. This is Manic Impressions. And then this is a Stormspell release. This is full of old demos, early stuff, and it's DVD of some live material as well. Excuse me, this is from like 87 and 88, even some 86 rehearsal material. It might even be earlier than that. Yep, 86 is the earliest stuff it looks like it's on here. Stormspell always releases awesome stuff. I'm sure this is probably still available. If it is, jump on it because it's very worth the money to pick it up. The booklet alone is incredible. Stormspell always puts so much into their booklets with, photos that actually are from that time period and bio material and just great stuff. I really like that label, Stormspell, so highly recommend it. Anacrusis, great band. Not sure how to explain it other than what I've already said, so maybe the best way to explain it is just put in a clip right here. So there you go, a little Anacrusis. That actually being from the Annihilation Complete CD from Stormspell Records. Most of their stuff, like I said, is available, so you should be able to find their stuff fairly easy. All right, last band I'm going to show is going to be a little lengthy, so it's going to actually be this is pretty much what I own from this band. One of my favorite bands from Germany, thrash bands from Germany. One that I think is hugely underrated and deserve to be much more well known than they were. This is Accuser, and this is their first release as well as their Experimental Errors EP put together on the CD. This is an original pressing, CD pressing on Koch. Fairly sure this is hard to find these days and out of print. But this is from 1987, 1988. Very raw, very biting, very, kind of like the early Sodom, early Creator, early Destruction. It's horribly recorded. Very raw, very biting, but still, I just really enjoy this band. But I don't think they really found their sound yet on this one. By the next album, they really have started to find a sound, in my opinion. And that would be their classic 1989 album, Who Dominates Who. And this one is pretty much an underground cult classic. If you're new to thrash, you may not have ever heard of it. If you've been into thrash metal for any period of time, I'm sure you've heard of this album. Really great release from these guys. Of course, Frank Thorms, I think that's how you say his last name, being the driving force behind this band. But also bass player Ebhard Whale, or nickname is Ape, who's the vocalist and bassist for this band. Those two guys were the main men behind them early on. As the band got on, Frank Thorms would be the only guy to remain. So next up is, let's see, 1991, 1990, somewhere in that area. This is Accuser Devil Talk. Fantastic album cover. Obviously a little bit political in the cover art there, and political in the lyrics as well. And this is an original pressing as well that I've had for years and years. These guys really found their sound here. Very machine gun riffing, but not speed for speed's sake. Again, these guys know how to keep harmony, and how to keep songs memorable, and then how to write good riffs and great guitar solos as well. Next up, probably my favorite from the early era of them. This is Accuser Repent. Slowed it down a little bit on this one, and a lot of thrash metal bands were slowing it down at this point. You know, in the early to mid '90s, and I believe this is like 1992 or '93. See if I can see it on here. Yeah, 1992. This is a Japanese pressing of this album. Repent. Thunder. That was loud. I don't know if you can hear that on the video or not, but that was loud. Anyhow, this album, great album. I'm going to throw a live version of Repent on here because I love this song. Check it out. This is Repent by Accuser. So there you go. That's Repent by Accuser, and that actually comes off of the of this album, which is the Confusion Romance EP. And when it comes to EPs, it's one of my favorites. I play this album all the time. When I get a hankering for thrash or to hear Accuser, one of the first things I grab is this EP. It features 2 live songs, Misery and Repent, 2 great songs. And then it's got a couple of cover songs on here in Head Like a Hole. And they do a great version of Head Like a Hole. And then Driver's Seat, which is another fantastic cover that they do on here. And then there's a few originals. And with this, the sound started to change a little bit. They still were thrash, but they started to get a more groove-based, almost like, I don't want to say Pantera, more like Prong. Early Prong, where they had the thrash and the groove mixed together. That's a great EP from Accuser. Keeping it up, Reflections was the next one. This album rules. Now they're full-on mid-90s style, mid-paced. Still got the speedier parts, but it's not all about speed anymore. It's about driving rhythms. And that pummeling rhythm section, where the bass is just rumbling with the drums. Vocals now have become more of a crossover hardcore thing as opposed to a thrash scream or anything like that. This album was actually released on several different labels. It did have a US release. I believe this is a German pressing. Yeah, German pressing, and like a little thing with stop fascism. Politically charged, like a lot of thrash metal was, but I love this album. Highly recommended. This album is not that hard to find, so if you're looking for something by Accuser, check it out. However, don't judge the early stuff by this stuff. If you're not into that more mid-paced, more groove-oriented style that a lot of bands were getting into in the mid-90s, their earlier stuff is far different from that. And then similar sound, this is Taken by the Throat. And I believe that Frank Dorms was, at this point, the only original member left in the band. Again, very groove-oriented, lots of hardcore influences, but definitely not metalcore, and definitely not hardcore. Still just pure metal. The band dismantled for a while. They came under a couple different names. I should have looked it up because I can't remember the name that they actually were under for a while. But then reactivated, and but at this point it was all new members except for Frank Dorms on vocals and guitar, and they released their first album, Agitation. And I'll see if I can see a year on this one because I don't remember what the year is. think it's 2009, 2010, somewhere around that range. 2010. This is just friggin' brilliant. Awesome. I think Accuser are one of the few bands that have, you know, dismantled and then reformed and come out with music that's better than their classic material. I love this record. As well as the follow-up, Dependent Domination. Oh my goodness, this album just has me putting the pedal to the metal in my car. It's just fantastic. Heavy thrash metal. It has a bit of a modern vibe to it, but again, it's not the hardcore metalcore, any something like that. It's thrash metal, but they actually sped it up a bit from what they were doing in the mid '90s. However, they still mix in some of the mid-pace stuff. They just found the groove here, and I love this right here, this brand of or this era of Accuser. And then their latest release of new material from 2013, 14, somewhere in that range. Pretty sure it's 2013. This is Diabolic. And again, all three of these albums, if you only own 3 albums by Accuser, grab these 3 albums right here, because they are just brilliant thrash metal. And then this past year, also, they re-released Who Dominates Who, remastered. I don't think it was remixed, but it is a 2 CD thing. And as you can see, the cover art's been updated. So what they did was they re-recorded the entire album with the modern lineup and Frank on Thom's on vocals. And I'm not sure I don't like the new recording better than the old recording. It's really hard to say because the old one's such a classic, but they re-released it. The CD cover actually has both the original, here's the original CD covering, and exactly reprinting of the exact same cover and insert as what was on the original release, as well as the new CD version with the with both covers, which you can display in your CD case, and all the lyrics and some notes by the band. And like I said, updated sonics. Those old songs sound fantastic, and they didn't really stray a whole lot from the originals. They kind of kept true to them. They did a few changes here and there that I think actually sound better. Probably stuff that they've, from playing those songs live over the years, just how they kind of developed. So here you go. Who Dominates Who? The 2014, I believe it is, version, and then the original version from was it 1989 classic? Their 1989 classic. So there you go. There is a whole bunch of thrash metal A's. Thrash metal A's. So hope you enjoyed that. If it's not too long, I'll keep it as a one-parter. If it's too long, I'll split it into 2. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave me some comments below. Let me know what you thought. Maybe you think there's some bands I should have included that I didn't include in the A section. And next up, I'll do some B's. I don't know when, but I will do some B's in the upcoming weeks and months. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. God bless and stay strong. Thrash and destroy.